Only 11 number 2 seeds have ever lost to a number 15 seed in the men's first round of the NCAA Tournament. And Thursday night, number 2 seeded St. John's kicks off their first round of tournament action, and that's against number 15 seeded Omaha. Well, Zach Braziller, our New York Post college basketball writer, is live in Providence to talk some Johnnies basketball and their road to the Final Four. Zach, let's get straight into this thing, man, because we know about the turnaround that Rick Pitino has done to this team, this program, this city, this season, and in the Big East tournament. So is it safe to say it's at least Final Four or bust for the Johnnies?
I'm not going to go that far. I think they got to get to a Sweet 16. You know, they're the 2 seed. They're a huge favorite tomorrow night. They're going to be a significant favorite if they play Arkansas or Kansas. You know, if they lose a tough game to Texas Tech in the Sweet 16 or they lose to Florida in the Elite Eight, I don't think any St. John's fans can be disappointed. Can they make a Final Four? Of course. But they're in a tough region. They have the second weekend is going to be a really tough road they get through this weekend. So I wouldn't say or bust. I would say Sweet 16, and you get to the Sweet 16 and it's an absolutely incredible season.
All right, so you mentioned some of the tough teams that are in their region that could be haters and be the reason that the Johnnies don't go to the Final Four. So who are some of the other tougher teams throughout the tournament? Who are some of your darling dandies?
Now, in that region is Drake, who I think is terrific. They won 30 games. Bennett Sturts is a incredibly good guard. He's underrated. They could end up playing Texas Tech if they beat Missouri in the first round. I would watch for them. Drake, I think, would not be shocked if they make a Sweet 16. I love BYU in the East region. They're a 6 seed. I think they're more along the lines, quality-wise, of a 3 or a 4. I think BYU gets the Elite Eight and plays Duke. I think Duke will get past them, but I really like BYU. And now, look, this isn't necessarily a Cinderella, but because the brand's huge. But I think North Carolina is going to get to the Sweet 16. They have Ole Miss. Then they play an Iowa State team that doesn't have one of its best players, Keshawn Gilbert, who's got a groin injury. I think Carolina, who a lot of people, myself included, didn't think deserved to be in the tournament because of their resume, I think Carolina gets to the second weekend as well.
I wonder how much money and incentives do you get for getting if UNC goes to the Sweet 16 and bust some brackets. So who are some of your other sleepers or bracket busters out there? What are some matchups that we can watch that you think is just going to completely destroy people's brackets?
Look, I think UC San Diego is really, really good, man. They're the 12 seed out of the Big West. I really like UC San Diego. Michigan is playing well. You know, they won the Big Ten tournament, but I think that's a really dangerous game. The spread of that game is only 2.5 for a 12-5. So that to me is definitely UC San Diego is a team to watch. Colorado State, another 12 seed. They have one of the best players in the country, Nick Clifford. Their team, I think, can make a run here. Big fan of Colorado State. Yale. Now they have a tough one. Texas A&M is really good. SEC, one of the top teams in that powerhouse conference, but Yale beat Auburn last year. I'm not saying they win the game just because I think Yale would beat most other 4 seeds, but I think Texas A&M is really tough. But that's a game I think 2 minutes left is up for grabs.
All right, let's go back to the Thursday night's game, 9:45 game, St. John's versus Omaha. I think 90-something% of the country have this circled as a win for St. John's on their brackets, but they do call it March Madness for a reason. So the Johnnies should take this one, Zach. Like, I don't have to worry about staying up too late because we've got ourselves a barn burner.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if this game is close with 5 minutes to go. I know Omaha can shoot the 3 well, but they're not a good defensive team. I think they're 266 in defensive efficiency. You know, the one team they played like St. John's, Iowa State, they lost by 32. St. John's will be geared up for this game. There's no doubt. All week, I'm sure Pitino's been telling his players, you haven't accomplished anything yet. You lose this game, and everything we've done is for naught. I'd be surprised if this 10 minutes to go if St. John's doesn't have this game well in hand. I just don't think Omaha could deal with their defense. I think St. John's will get out in transition. I don't think they can stay with R.J. Lewis or Kadari Richmond. Yes, they have some guys who can make shots, but we've seen it all year. St. John's defense is incredible. They could take away the 3-point shot. I think St. John's cruises here Thursday night.
Before I let you go, Zach, you've been covering this team for a long time. You've had conversations with Rick Pitino, the fan base, alumni. We've seen what they've been able to do in terms of changing the vibe or bringing the vibe back in New York basketball, that culture. What would a deep run, Elite Eight, Final Four run do for the city in terms of what St. John's has been able to do this year?
It's a great question. I mean, the vibes are crazy right now. That game on Saturday, the biggest championship game at Saturday at the Garden, was the best atmosphere for a St. John's game I've ever seen, and I don't even think it's close. They've had sellouts. People are really into it. We're putting them on the back page almost every day, which is fantastic. I don't really know what it would mean, to be honest, because this year it's been such an incredible year. It's hard to quantify because you got to kind of see it, but I think New York is really behind St. John's right now. It's people really, it's an easy team to root for. People are into it. I'd love to just see them get to the Sweet 16 and see what next week would be like. I just think it would just further energize what is now a growing fan base. You have little kids now who are becoming St. John's fans because of what they've seen this year. You have people now. It's almost become cool to follow St. John's and root for St. John's, and even whatever happens in this tournament, they're going to be good next year. Like, they're going to go and get some good players in the portal. Zubi Ejiofor is going to be back, and I think he's going to be one of the top 20 players in the country. R.J. Lewis might be back if he doesn't go pro, and he's another guy probably be a top 15 player in the country, if not better. I think everyone you talk to, it's not like this is a one-year thing. Like, they're going to be really good next year. It's only what they've been able to do with underrated guys and guys in the portal. It's only going to make, they have the money. It's only going to make more really good players want to come here. It's going to make the coaching staff's job easier. I see this as kind of a start of, a 3-4 year run, maybe even more of St. John's really being back and being almost like an extra pro team in this city. I mean, they're going to play more games at the Garden next year, and people are excited, and they have good players in this program that are going to be back. It's really, right now, if you're a St. John's fan, it's a really fun time, and just enjoy it.
Yeah, you mentioned kids becoming St. John's fans. I brought my 2-year-old son to the Garden for a game. He had an absolute blast until he fell asleep for nap time in the second half. But the memories of being able, that whiteout, seeing Rick Pitino in the all-white suit. If he wanted to recruit my son in later years, you got him. He's got him. So
he's got a good jumper or what?
Yeah, I'm thinking about a stretch 4 right now. He's about a stretch 4 with grades. He'll have grades for sure.
We need to get St. John's football. He could be a 2-sports star, right?
Sign me up for that one. But Zach, I'll see you Saturday. They make it to the second round, which they should. So I'll see you Saturday, my man. Appreciate it.
All right, sounds good.